Imagine trying to explain Instagram to someone from 2 centuries ago. You would sit across from them and explain that millions of people now wake up, reach for a glowing screen, and begin comparing their lives to strangers before they even speak to another human being. You would explain that these strangers are not people they may know from their school, family, village, or workplace. They are simply people they may never meet. Yet, their lives still become emotional reference points. You would explain that modern people now carry entire audiences in their pockets, and that ordinary moments now become something people feel tempted to record and share. A meal becomes proof. A holiday becomes evidence. A relationship becomes a display. A quiet moment has now turned into something people feel tempted to record instead of simply feel. And at some point, that person from 2 centuries ago would probably stop you and ask a very simple question. When do people actually live? See, this question captures something deeply unsettling about modern life. The problem isn't technology itself. Technology has always changed the way we live, work, and communicate. The deeper issue is that it changed the way we experience ourselves. Private life has become public, attention has become currency, and emotions have become content. Today, people compare more than just their successes. They compare their routines, bodies, relationships, careers, and even authenticity. And that is where something deeply human begins to disappear. Because once authenticity becomes a performance, it is no longer fully authentic. Modern life has created a quiet pressure to prove that we are living correctly. People no longer only want meaningful lives. Many people want visible evidence that their lives are meaningful. They want proof that they are healing, proof that they are interesting, proof that they are improving, proof that they are loved, and proof that they are not falling behind. And see, this need for proof can be quite exhausting because proof is never satisfied. It always asks for another image, another update, and another sign that life is moving in the right direction. The result, a generation that often feels behind even while making progress, tired even while nothing is visibly wrong, and lonely even while connected. Research helps explain why this feeling has become so common. A 2020 review in the Journal of Technology in Behavioral Science found that social media can provide support and attention, yet it can also increase pressure through distress, comparison, and exposure to harmful content. A 2023 systemic review on young people found a modest yet significant link between social media use and symptoms of depression, while making it clear that the relationship is far more complex than just simple cause and effect. And see, this matters today because the point I'm trying to make is not that social media is evil. The point is that human beings were never designed to compare our private doubts with someone else's public confidence, look at endless edited versions of other people's lives, and still feel completely normal. We were never made to compare our ordinary mornings with someone else's perfect routine. And let's be real, social comparison is not something new. Human beings have always looked around and asked, where do I stand? What has changed is the scale. Today, the comparison pool is no longer a small community. It is now almost infinite. It includes celebrities, classmates, influencers, colleagues, strangers, and people whose lives seem polished beyond reality. A 2025 research paper on social networking sites describes how curated and idealized posts can spark upward comparison, where people measure themselves against those who appear superior. And see, when this happens repeatedly and on a daily basis, self-esteem can really take a hit. And not because a person's life is actually empty, but because it is being measured against a version that has been edited for display. And this is why so many of us feel a pressure we cannot quite name. It often feels as though someone is living better, has a better body, a better career, a better life. This pressure comes from the attention economy, Digital platforms have learned to capture and hold our attention, making distraction less a personal failure and more a feature of the system itself. Notifications interrupt our days, algorithms learn what keeps us engaged, and boredom becomes increasingly rare because our phones offer constant escape. This is where boredom becomes important. Dr. Ashley Smith, in her writing on modern life and mental health, argues that we need to learn to embrace boredom instead of immediately reaching for something to occupy our attention. See, this idea may sound very cliché, talked about, or simple. Yet, today it is becoming increasingly difficult. Many people are uncomfortable with stillness because stillness leaves them alone with thoughts that they have been avoiding. Yet, boredom is not always a problem. Sometimes it is a signal. It tells us that our mind needs space. It tells us that we need reflection and not stimulation. A research paper from the American Psychological Association has actually proved that we often underestimate how much we may enjoy simply sitting with our thoughts. And that's partly because we make it look like it'll feel worse way much than it actually will. And that is why the modern search for authenticity often feels strange. People are told to be real, yet they are rewarded for being real in ways that are shareable, admirable, and confident. Vulnerability becomes acceptable once it's edited well. Healing becomes admirable once it's packaged well. And simplicity becomes a style once it's photographed well. See, this creates a contradiction. People want to be accepted for who they are, yet they often feel a pressure to turn who they are into something that performs well. The solution is not getting rid of technology completely. That would be unreasonable and, for many, unnecessary. Today, technology has always improved our adapting, communication, lives, and helps us stay connected across distance. The better question is whether we can use technology without letting it decide the values of our lives. Can we share without editing every part of ourselves? Can we admire other people's lives without immediately using it as evidence against our own? Can we rest without proving that we deserve the rest? See, these are not small questions. They are questions about what kind of inner life both you and me want to protect. So perhaps the question from 2 centuries ago remains the question we need the most today. When do people actually live? So the next time we reach for our phone in a quiet moment, we can look around and pause to think, what am I trying to escape? What really matters right now? What would I truly feel if this moment belonged only to me and my reflection? Because at the end of the day, life does not become meaningful only because it is posted, edited, and shared. It becomes meaningful because we are truly present for it. Thank you.